Your soulmate alignment. Watch for this name in your dreams tonight. My beloved child, before sleep carries your mind away tonight, there is something you need to understand. Not everything meaningful arrives loudly. Some truths enter quietly, through symbols, fragments, and subtle impressions your conscious mind usually ignores. That's why dreams matter, not as predictions, not as magic, but as reflections of what your heart has already begun to recognize. When alignment starts forming, your subconscious becomes the first place where clarity appears. Names, faces, initials, or even repeated sounds may surface, not to control your future, but to reveal where your emotional focus is naturally moving. Most people dismiss this too quickly. They wake up and forget. They scroll and move on. Don't skip this moment, because the biggest shifts rarely announce themselves with noise. They arrive when you're still enough to notice. Something huge is waiting for you in what your mind chooses to remember tonight. Here is the shocking truth most people never hear. When a connection is real and aligned, your mind rehearses it before your life confirms it. Dreams are not about fantasy, they are about familiarity forming. If a name appears, it's not about obsession. It's about resonance. Your mind is testing how that presence feels without distraction, without pressure, without fear. And here's what makes this rare. Aligned dreams don't feel dramatic. They feel calm. Grounded. Clear. You don't wake up confused, you wake up curious. Centered. A little more certain than before. That's how you know this isn't imagination running wild. It's your inner world organizing itself. Most connections never reach this level because they're built on surface attraction, not deep recognition. Stay till the end of this journey, because once you understand this pattern, you'll never ignore these signals again. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything connects. Your soulmate alignment is not revealed by chasing signs, it's revealed by noticing repetition without effort. The same name returning. The same feeling returning. The same calm returning. That's not coincidence. That's consistency. And consistency is always the language of alignment. If tonight your mind brings something specific forward, don't force meaning onto it. Observe it. Let it breathe. Let it sit. Because when alignment is real, it doesn't demand belief, it earns trust over time. This is why rushed connections burn out, and quiet ones deepen. The mind knows when something fits long before the world confirms it. And when you finally understand that, you stop searching everywhere, and start paying attention right where you are. Tonight is not about forcing meaning, it's about noticing what keeps returning when nothing is forced. When the mind is quiet, it reveals patterns you've been too busy to see. That's why names appear in dreams when alignment begins, not as destiny written in stone, but as focus being refined. Your attention has weight, and your subconscious spends it carefully. If a name surfaces without effort, without emotion attached, without drama, that neutrality is the signal. It means your mind is testing stability, not fantasy. Here's the shocking part. Misaligned connections show up in dreams as chaos, interruptions, or confusion. Aligned ones show up as stillness. Familiarity. A sense of, this makes sense, without explanation. Don't skip this, because the difference between imagination and alignment is emotional noise. One is loud. The other is calm. And calm is always harder to fake. Now pay attention to what happens after you wake up, because this is where most people miss the confirmation. Alignment doesn't make you obsessed. It makes you observant. You're not rushing to act. You're not craving reassurance. You're simply aware. The name, the feeling, the presence lingers without urgency. That's not coincidence. That's integration. Your mind is checking how this alignment fits into your real life, not escaping from it. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization most never reach: if something is meant to matter, it won't hijack your focus, it will sharpen it. You don't lose sleep chasing it. You don't abandon your routine for it. You move forward with more clarity, not less. Something huge is waiting for you in this awareness, because once you recognize this pattern, you stop mistaking emotional spikes for meaning and start trusting emotional steadiness as truth. Stay till the end of this message, because what you understand next protects you from misreading the signs. Before we go further, pause and ground this moment. If this perspective is helping you see dreams and alignment more clearly, share this with someone who's been confused by mixed signals, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and leave a comment about what helps you notice patterns without forcing them. Now here's the final truth for this stage: alignment never demands belief up front. It reveals itself through repetition that doesn't drain you. If tonight brings a name, a sound, or a familiar sense of calm, don't chase it tomorrow. Let life respond naturally. Because real alignment doesn't need pursuit, it needs patience. And when patience is met with consistency, clarity always follows. What happens next is subtle, and that's why it's powerful. After a dream carries a name or a presence, the real signal shows up while you're awake. Your reactions change. You become less reactive, less impulsive, less pulled by distractions. Instead of chasing answers, you start noticing your own state of mind. Calm replaces urgency. Curiosity replaces anxiety. This is not random. When alignment is real, it reorganizes your attention before it changes your circumstances. Here's the shocking truth most people never realize: misalignment makes you restless, but alignment makes you patient. If your days feel steadier after a dream instead of scattered, that's your clue. Don't skip this awareness, because the mind doesn't reveal truth through excitement, it reveals it through emotional order. Now listen carefully, because this part separates meaning from imagination. When a name truly matters, it doesn't dominate your thoughts, it fits into them. You don't replay the dream over and over searching for hidden messages. You don't feel pressured to act fast. Instead, your intuition becomes sharper in unrelated areas of life. Your decisions feel cleaner. Your boundaries feel easier to hold. That's because alignment doesn't narrow your world, it expands it. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization hiding in plain sight: if something is aligned with you, it will never require you to abandon logic to keep believing in it. It coexists with clarity. It strengthens self-trust instead of replacing it. Something huge is waiting for you in this understanding, because once you feel the difference, you stop romanticizing confusion and start respecting inner stability. Stay till the end of this journey, because this is where most people finally get it wrong, or finally get it right. Here is the final layer for this moment. Not every name that appears is a destination. Some are markers, guiding your awareness toward a quality, a feeling, a direction. Alignment is not about prediction, it's about preparation. Your inner world is tuning itself to recognize what fits and reject what doesn't. That's why forcing meaning always backfires, but observing patterns always brings clarity. If something returns naturally, without pressure, without fear, without obsession, let it. Let time test it. Let life respond to it. Because real alignment does not need urgency to survive. It grows stronger in stillness. And when the next step becomes clear, it won't shock you. It will feel obvious. Familiar. Right. There is one final check that reveals whether alignment is real or just noise, and almost no one talks about it. When something true is forming, it doesn't make you rush to tell everyone. It makes you quieter. More observant. More grounded in your own life. You don't feel the need to prove what you sensed in a dream. You don't feel pressure to act immediately. Instead, your inner world becomes disciplined. Focused. Selective. This is the shocking truth. Imagination wants attention, but alignment wants time. If what you notice begins to settle instead of shout, that's not fading interest, that's stability taking root. Don't skip this moment, because the biggest mistake people make is acting too fast on something that needed space to reveal itself fully. Now let this land deeply. Alignment never pulls you away from reality, it anchors you more firmly into it. Your routines don't break. Your standards don't lower. Your clarity doesn't disappear. In fact, you start seeing people and situations more clearly than before. You notice who drains you. You notice what distracts you. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization most people miss: when something is truly aligned, it raises your discernment, not your obsession. If this message is helping you see things differently, share it with someone who's been confused by signs and mixed signals, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and leave a comment if you've ever felt clarity grow instead of urgency. Stay till the end of this understanding, because what you're realizing right now explains why some feelings faded quickly, while others stayed calm and steady. Here is the final truth for this stage. Alignment doesn't promise outcomes. It prepares perception. It trains your heart to recognize what fits before life places it in front of you. So if a name, a feeling, or a presence returns gently, without pressure, without fear, without demand, don't chase it tomorrow. Let life meet you halfway. Because real alignment always reveals itself through consistency over time, not intensity in one moment. Something huge is waiting for you beyond this awareness, not in dreams alone, but in how clearly you now see your own path. And once your vision sharpens, you'll never again mistake noise for meaning. What locks everything into place is not another dream, but the way your perception sharpens after it. You begin noticing patterns you once ignored. Certain names feel heavier than others. Certain thoughts feel grounded instead of scattered. And here is the truth most people overlook: when alignment is real, your intuition stops shouting and starts guiding. You don't feel pushed. You feel directed. Your attention becomes selective. You stop entertaining distractions that once held power over you. That's because your inner world is calibrating itself. This is not imagination playing tricks. This is awareness refining focus. Don't skip this, because the biggest clue isn't what appears at night, it's how clearly you see during the day. Something huge is waiting for you in this clarity, and it only reveals itself when you stop forcing meaning and start noticing consistency. Now pay attention to this shift, because it separates curiosity from confirmation. Alignment never makes you feel special for noticing it. It makes you feel responsible. More intentional with your time. More careful with your energy. You don't rush to label anyone. You don't rush to chase outcomes. Instead, you watch how life responds when you stay steady. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization: if something is truly aligned with you, it will move closer without you chasing it. Conversations become easier. Timing feels natural. Resistance fades without effort. If you ever feel the urge to force clarity, that's your sign to pause. Real alignment does not require pressure to exist. Stay till the end of this understanding, because once you recognize this pattern, you stop mistaking emotional excitement for truth and start trusting emotional stability as guidance. And here is the final insight meant to anchor this stage. Alignment is not about predicting who will arrive. It's about preparing who you are when they do. That's why names and dreams are not commands, they are indicators of readiness. Your inner world is teaching you what feels right so you don't ignore it later. If you're feeling more grounded, more disciplined, more present than before, that is the signal. Not the dream itself, but who you are becoming because of it. Let that matter more than any symbol. Because when the right connection appears in real life, it won't feel shocking. It will feel familiar. Calm. Clear. And you'll know, not because you were told, but because your life finally feels aligned enough to recognize it. What most people don't realize is that alignment reveals itself fully only when you stop looking for confirmation and start living normally again. This is the quiet moment where everything either fades, or stays. If the signal was real, it doesn't disappear when distraction returns. It becomes background certainty. You go about your day, handle your responsibilities, talk to people, live your life, and yet something remains steady underneath it all. No urgency. No obsession. Just a calm awareness that doesn't need attention to survive. That is the difference between a passing thought and a lasting alignment. Here's the shocking truth: anything that needs constant focus to feel real usually isn't. Real alignment doesn't beg to be remembered. It settles in and waits. Don't skip this realization, because this is where most people mistake intensity for meaning and walk away from what was actually stable. Now let this sink in deeply. When alignment is genuine, it starts protecting your energy without effort. You become less available to confusion. Less tolerant of mixed signals. Less interested in emotional noise. Not because you're trying to be disciplined, but because your system has recalibrated. And here is the once-in-a-lifetime understanding that changes how you see everything: alignment doesn't add something new to your life, it removes what no longer fits. Old patterns lose their pull. Old attractions feel hollow. You don't feel like you're missing out anymore. You feel like you're narrowing in. Something huge is waiting for you in this phase, because once your standards rise quietly, you stop negotiating with distractions that used to feel exciting. Stay till the end of this awareness, because this is the point where clarity becomes irreversible. Here is the final lock. When alignment is real, it does not demand belief, signs, or reassurance. It shows itself through who you become afterward. More grounded. More patient. More self-respecting. Your life feels cleaner. Your choices feel deliberate. And when the right connection eventually appears in the real world, it won't feel dramatic or overwhelming. It will feel familiar. Almost obvious. Like something your inner world already made space for. That's how you'll know the difference between imagination and preparation. Not by what you saw at night, but by how steady you stand during the day. What brings everything to completion is not another sign, another dream, or another thought looping in your mind. It's the moment you realize nothing needs to be chased anymore. When alignment is real, it settles your nervous system so deeply that even uncertainty loses its power over you. You stop scanning people for meaning. You stop replaying moments for clues. You feel present in your own life again. And here is the truth most people never hear: when something is meant to meet you, it doesn't require you to stay alert all the time. It arrives when you're steady, not when you're searching. Don't skip this, because the calm you feel right now is not emptiness, it's readiness. Something huge is waiting for you beyond this stillness, and it only appears when your inner world is quiet enough to recognize it. Now listen closely, because this is the final distinction that changes everything. Alignment does not make you emotionally attached to an idea, it makes you emotionally independent. You are no longer waiting for a name, a message, or a moment to validate you. You feel whole where you are. Grounded. Clear. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization. When you are truly aligned, you become impossible to rush, manipulate, or confuse. Your standards stay intact without effort. Your intuition feels sharp without anxiety. You don't fear missing out, because you trust timing more than impulse. Stay till the end of this understanding, because this is where people finally stop repeating old cycles and start allowing new chapters to form naturally. And here is the final truth meant to stay with you. When the right connection enters your life, it won't feel like a dramatic reveal. It won't feel overwhelming or unreal. It will feel familiar, like something your inner world has already made room for. You won't need to convince yourself. You won't need reassurance. You will recognize it the same way you recognize peace when a storm ends. Quietly. Confidently. Without doubt. That is alignment completing its work. Not through force. Not through signs. But through the calm certainty of knowing you are no longer waiting, you are ready. The final shift happens when nothing feels unfinished anymore. You stop wondering if you missed a sign, misread a moment, or misunderstood what your inner world was showing you. There is a deep settling that takes place, where questions no longer chase answers. This is how alignment completes itself. Not with certainty about another person, but with certainty about yourself. Your pace slows, not because you're unsure, but because you're no longer driven by lack. Here's the shocking truth most people never reach: when alignment is real, curiosity fades into trust. You don't need to keep checking, watching, or waiting. You feel anchored. Don't skip this understanding, because this is the moment people usually mistake calm for stagnation, when in reality it's stability forming. What changes next is subtle but powerful. You become immune to distraction. Not by effort, but by clarity. Things that once tempted you emotionally no longer register the same way. Conversations feel honest or they feel empty, there's no confusion in between. Your intuition stops whispering warnings because you've learned to listen early. And here's the once-in-a-lifetime realization hidden inside this phase: alignment doesn't bring excitement to your life, it brings direction. You don't feel pulled toward many possibilities anymore. You feel aligned with one path at a time. Something huge is waiting for you in this awareness, because when direction replaces distraction, your life stops fragmenting and starts moving forward with intention. Stay till the end of this truth, because this is where readiness turns into momentum. And here is how you know everything has done its work. You no longer feel like you're waiting for something to begin. You're already living from a place of wholeness. If a connection enters, it adds to your life, but it is no longer required to complete it. That's the final confirmation. Alignment does not end with arrival, it ends with self-trust. When the right moment comes, you won't rush it, question it, or doubt it. You'll meet it calmly, clearly, and without fear. Because by then, you won't be searching for alignment anymore. You'll be living inside it.